Hi, it's Claire from Pitt News Magazine, and welcome back to Pitt News on Air. So, you've heard the saying, follow the money, right? Well, what if I told you that sometimes the money moves before the headlines? And the people moving it aren't just hedge funds in Manhattan, but also the folks strolling the halls of Congress? Yep. This week, we're digging into a juicy little puzzle. Why BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street all loaded up on Nvidia. And why some lawmakers just happened to make eerily similar trades at the same time. Coincidence or choreography? I don't know about you, but I'm grabbing popcorn. Let's get into it.
Okay, so what if the really big moves, the ones that shape the stock market, aren't just random? What if they're more like a carefully choreographed dance?
A dance between who, though?
Between the world's most powerful investors, the institutions, and maybe some very well-placed insiders on Capitol Hill. We're exploring this idea of a quiet interplay, maybe not illegal, but definitely shaping America's financial flow.
Interesting angle.
Yeah, so today we're doing a deep dive into some really compelling work by Grant Thorne. He's a Washington correspondent for Pitt News Magazine.
Right.
And his article, it's called When Whales Buy, The Nvidia Conspiracy. He basically unpacks what he sees as this distinct choreography between the big money, the financial giants, and lawmakers.
Okay.
So our mission really is to sift through these public filings, look closely at the timing, and try to understand how this machinery of influence, as Thorne puts it, actually works.
Makes sense.
Yeah, we want to help you maybe recognize these signals, these patterns, and think about what they might mean for the market, for policy, just for having a clear picture.
Exactly. And what's really fascinating about Thorne's piece is how it takes these things that seem separate, like huge institutional trades over here and certain congressional stock deals over there, and connects the dots. He argues pretty persuasively, I think, that there's a deeper pattern. It's legal, yes, but it's a pattern nonetheless. So we're not just going to recap what he found,
Right.
but really dig into why these connections actually matter, why they matter for understanding how markets move, and also how political influence, kind of weaves its way through finance. It definitely makes you look beyond the headlines.
Okay, so let's unpack it then. Thorne starts us off by pointing straight at the Form 13F.
Yes, the 13 Fs.
Yeah, maybe a quick reminder for everyone.
Yeah.
These are the quarterly reports that big investment managers, anyone handling over $100 billion in assets, have to file with the SEC.
Standard procedure.
Right, but Thorne treats them differently. He looks at them like they're evidence, clues in a bigger financial story.
A different lens, okay.
And when you dive into the Q2 2025 filings, so that's covering trades from April 1st to June 30th that year, a really striking pattern pops out.
Okay, what did he find?
The three biggest asset managers globally, BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street, all made Nvidia their #1 stock to accumulate that quarter.
All three. Nvidia.
All three. Top of the list. Let me give you the specifics Thorne lays out. BlackRock added Nvidia, Broadcom, Netflix, Amazon, Tesla.
Got it.
Vanguard added Nvidia, Microsoft, Broadcom, Meta, Netflix.
Millerless.
And State Street. Nvidia, Microsoft, Broadcom, Meta, Netflix. Nvidia was the top addition for every single one.
Wow. Okay. That is significant alignment.
And here's where the scale really hits you. Take State Street. They manage, over $2.6 trillion in U.S. stocks?
Yeah, a massive amount.
Their Nvidia purchase boosted its weight in their portfolio by 1.47%. I mean, that's not just buying some shares. That's a huge strategic lean from a global giant.
Right. When you see those three institutions, the big three, as Thorne calls them, all making such a strong move, same direction, same stock like Nvidia, that sends a massive signal through the market. It's not just, background noise.
No.
It suggests a really strong conviction, a shared belief, likely in NVIDIA's growth, maybe the whole AI sector, right? And that kind of concentrated buying power from players that big, it can genuinely drive momentum, not just for NVIDIA, but for related areas too. It's something you have to pay attention to.
Okay, so you've got Wall Street's biggest players, the whales, loading up on AI stocks. But then Thorne points out this interesting parallel happening practically next door in Washington, D.C.
The Capitol Hill connection.
Exactly. He highlights that members of Congress, especially some known for making, let's say, prescient trades.
Nicely put.
They were buying up many of the exact same stocks at the same time.
Okay, like who does he name names?
Oh, yeah. He gives specific examples, like Representative Clego Fields made a multi-million-dollar purchase of Nvidia shares right in that Q2 window.
Multi-million.
Okay. Microsoft saw over 50 trades from different lawmakers. Buys from Reps Fields again. Gottheimer. Green.
Busy period for Microsoft trades in Congress.
And Representative Jared Moskowitz apparently bought Nvidia, Visa, and Amazon near market lows. Then you have Representative Julie Johnson selling tech just days before a big rally that seemed linked to tariff news.
So buying the dips, selling before rallies. Interesting timing again.
That's what Thorne really emphasizes, the timing overlap. He says it's almost perfect. The whales are filing their 13Fs showing big buys, Congress members are trading the same names, and the market's shifting.
Right, and that overlap, that's where the core question comes in, isn't it? What does it actually mean when you see lawmakers and these huge institutions moving, well, almost in formation like that?
Yeah, what does it mean?
Thorne's argument isn't that it's illegal. He's clear on that.
Right, perfectly legal is the phrase he uses.
Exactly. But he suggests these actions often happen around, or maybe are influenced by, the whole ecosystem of lobbying, regulation, government contracts, policy shifts, things like that. So he's pushing us to think about, well, maybe not direct insider info, but at least a highly informed perspective, maybe access to insights the average person just doesn't have. It gets into that tricky area of fairness. Even when everything is technically above board, the legal doesn't mean innocent idea captures it well.
Thorne really zeroes in on April 2025 as a key moment, a flashpoint.
Why April 25?
That's when those Liberation Day tariffs, the ones targeting China from the Trump campaign, first hit the news. They caused quite a bit of market turbulence initially.
I remember that. Lots of uncertainty.
Exactly. But while most people were debating the policy implications, Thorne suggests that for certain insiders, this volatility was actually an opportunity, a moment to make strategic moves.
Okay, so how did that play out?
Well, he points out that over 700 trades were made by lawmakers and their families during that specific tariff window.
700, wow.
Yeah, and apparently Representative Ro Khanna alone made over 300 moves then.
Goodness.
And you see things like Marjorie Taylor Greene buying Amazon and Apple the day after the tariffs were paused. Moskowitz, we mentioned him, picking up Nvidia near the bottom of that tariff-induced dip. And Representative Johnson selling before the market rallied back. It's like they weren't just reacting to news, they were anticipating the reaction to the news.
Or had a different read on its significance, perhaps.
Maybe. And here's another detail Thorne throws in that's just fascinating. Nvidia's CEO, Jensen Huang,
Okay.
he sold millions of dollars worth of his Nvidia stock under a preset 10b5-1 plan. Standard practice for executives, helps avoid insider trading accusations.
Right, those plans are set up in advance.
Exactly. But the timing.
Yeah.
Thorne notes Huang's sales happened just days before those 13F filings came out, showing State Street was massively increasing its Nvidia position.
Oh, wow. So CEO selling, major institution buying almost simultaneously, or at least revealed simultaneously. That is precise timing.
It feels incredibly precise.
Yeah, it really does. And it paints this picture, this very complex interplay. Thorne sums it up neatly. Insiders sold, institutions bought, lawmakers traded both ways.
Right.
It suggests this wasn't just, simple cause and effect based on headlines. It was about timing, about positioning. It points towards a very sophisticated understanding of market dynamics, policy wins, maybe even corporate strategy, all converging around these big economic and political moments. It really forces you to think about all the different layers of information and influence, from the C-suite to Congress to the giant funds, and how they might intersect in ways we don't normally see. It's like a complex dance, as you said earlier.
A dance of information and power. So the big question that is, what does this mean for you? The listener, the investor, just someone trying to figure out what's going on.
Right. How do you use this insight?
Thorne is careful to frame this not as some kind of hidden conspiracy theory, but more like a practical playbook, a way to understand these patterns and maybe even use them.
Okay, so what's in the playbook?
First point he makes is ride the wave. He argues this big institutional push into AI wasn't just a one-quarter thing.
Likely has legs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
With the big three adding so much Nvidia, Microsoft, Broadcom, Meta, Netflix, that implies continued ETF flows, momentum buying, sector leadership probably extending into Q3.
Makes sense. So what to watch?
Well, for direct stocks still in that wave, he flags NVDA, MSFT, ABO. For broader exposure, think ETFs like SMH, SOXX for the chips and AI, or maybe BOTZ, IRBO for robotics.
And secondaries.
Yeah, he mentioned secondary plays too, names like ARM, AMD, ASML, companies that benefit from the main trend.
Okay, that's the momentum angle. What's next?
This next point is maybe the most insightful for reading the tea leaves. Use Congress as a confirmation tool.
How so?
Thorne's idea is that lawmakers, even if their overall track record isn't perfect market beating, they often beat the news cycle.
Ah, okay. Ahead of the headlines.
Yeah. So if you see a member of Congress buying Nvidia, it's not necessarily a signal the stock's about to pop tomorrow. It's more like Thorne calls it a whisper you haven't heard yet.
Indicating something deeper is going on.
Exactly. Some undercurrent of information, maybe policy-related, that's already moving or about to. It's less about the immediate price, more about the underlying informational flow. A leading indicator, perhaps.
Interesting. So look at their trades, not just for stock tips, but for clues about what might be coming down the pike policy-wise or industry-wise.
That seems to be the idea. Then, his third point, set traps for the snapback.
Meaning prepare for a potential reversal.
Right. Given that Nvidia's CEO just sold a chunk of stock, Thorne warns if this AI momentum falters, you could see a pretty sharp pullback.
Gravity eventually applies.
And he speculates that the same politicians buying now might be quick to rotate out if things turn. So how do you prepare? Maybe hedges, like put options or spreads on Nvidia or the QQQ index ETF.
Managing downside risk.
Or look at volatility products like VXY or UVXY, especially around earnings reports or big policy announcements when things might get choppy.
Playing the volatility itself.
He also mentions pair trades, like going long Nvidia but shorting an older, slower tech company, betting on the relative performance.
Got it. Okay, that covers riding the wave, using Congress as a signal, and hedging the downside. What's the last piece?
The last piece of the playbook is watch for the next rotation.
Because the money won't stay in AI forever.
Precisely. Thorne says the whales will eventually move on. So if you start seeing this same pattern, big 13F institutional buying lining up with notable congressional trades, but in a different sector.
Like defense, maybe?
Yeah.
Or energy?
Biotech?
Yeah, exactly. Right. That's your potential early radar for the next major market shift. It's about recognizing the repeatable pattern of influence and information flow, not just the specific stocks like Nvidia this time around.
So it's about learning to spot this specific type of convergence wherever it might pop up next. Makes it a transferable insight.
I think that's the core idea. This whole dive into Thorne's work, it really shines a light on how deeply intertwined finance and politics actually are.
Nvidia, in this whole story, it becomes more than just a hot tech stock. It's almost a proxy for power, as Thorne suggests, a focal point where big money and potentially informed political action converge.
Yeah, and when you see trillion-dollar funds and key figures on Capitol Hill consistently buying the same things around the same time, it really does illustrate that machinery of influence at work. Like Thorne says, it's not illegal, it's probably not even new, but understanding it, being able to read it, really read it, as he puts it, well, that gives you a different perspective, maybe even a tradable one.
Right.
It pushes you to think more critically about the standard market narratives and ask, where does the real influence, the real information advantage actually lie? And how does that play out?
So maybe the final thought for everyone listening is, next time you're trying to understand why the market's moving the way it is, remember Thorne's advice. Don't just watch the headline.
Look deep.
Yeah. Watch those SEC filings. Keep an eye on what Congress is doing, who's trading what, and watch for those whales. Because often, that's where you can really start to follow the money.
Whew, that one had everything. Whales, Washington, and Nvidia at the center of it all. Makes me wonder if I should start reading SEC filings the way I used to read horoscopes, just to see what kind of week I'm about to have. Huge thanks to Grant Thorne for peeling back the curtain on where power meets portfolio. And hey, if you liked today's episode, remember this podcast is now a weekly thing. Pitt News on Air is my baby, and we drop new episodes every Wednesday. Just click the Pitt News on Air logo right here on the page to subscribe. And while you're at it, grab a subscription to Pitt News Magazine at pittnews.com. Because if you think this podcast gets spicy, wait till you read what we print. Until next time, follow the money. But maybe don't follow Congress's trading account. Bye for now.